Coming up on the March 2nd edition of Sports Extra, Carolina basketball stopped the bleeding, but is UNC getting ready for a postseason push, or are there dark clouds on the horizon?
Just when you thought it was safe to be a UNC fan, is there a new scandal brewing for Carolina athletics?
And hi-ya! We take you into the world of this self-defense martial art. All that and more, Sports Extra starts
right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics, this is Sports Extra.
Not one, not two, not three, but 4 days of class is delayed or canceled because of the snow. Throw in a state loss and wow, what a wacky week for Carolina. Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm Molly Oak.
And I'm Luis Fernandez. Seeing Carolina cancel that many classes and losing to stay in the Dean Dome, that's like seeing Bigfoot riding a UFO at the same time Duke wins a bowl game. But let's get back to sports. Carolina basketball rebounded on Saturday, and some outdoor teams actually played. But first, Dan Kane of the News and Observer is highlighting what could be another chapter in the academic scandals saga for the university. Kane originally reported the first batch of academic improprieties back in 2010. In this new report, Kane says the athletics department pushed through 2 students into the graduate programs who were past deadline and didn't meet the grad school standards and requirements. Here are the details. There are 2 players pointed out in the report. The first is a former football player, Michael Waddell. Waddell's 4th year of eligibility was in question after a problem with registering for classes. It was with that in mind that Waddell was given special exemption and admitted into the grad school so that he could maintain his eligibility. He went on to skip classes, exams, and flunk out with 4 Fs. The second person is former Alabama player Justin Knox. Knox transferred to Carolina in 2010 and was able to play because he had already obtained his undergrad degree at Alabama. He was admitted into the grad school past the deadline, something that happens in special cases. Unlike Waddell, professors said Knox was an excellent student. He had a 3.6 GPA at the time he transferred and was salutatorian of his high school class. Cheryl Thomas was the admissions director at the graduate school from 2002 to 2010. She reported the incidents to the NCAA, the university's accrediting body, SACS, and the NNO. Thomas said her unwillingness to cross the line with these situations and unrelated management concerns ultimately led to her resigning. Director of Exercise and Sports Sciences Graduate Studies Program, Kevin Guskowitz, was very upset about the Waddell situation. He wrote a letter to Senior Associate Athletics Director John Blanchard back earlier on in the situation. In the letter, Guskowitz was furious. He said, "As you know, Department Chairman Fred Mueller and I went out on a limb to try and help the unfortunate situation." He went on to discuss the reason Waddell enrolled was to stay eligible. He continued, saying he had the understanding that Michael would live up to his end of the bargain, making every effort possible to succeed in the classes. Guskowitz said that 4 months later, we now look foolish, and that we will no longer threaten our department's integrity by this sort of arrangement.
Earlier today, I sat down with the man who's reported so much about UNC in the past few years. We talked about his most recent report and what it's been like being reviled by many at Carolina.
You know, to me, it was an eye-opener. I mean, it really laid out, a situation in which somebody who, didn't appear to have any real way of getting into grad school suddenly does. And it kind of opens up a whole other avenue of inquiry about, the involvement of athletics and academics at the University of North Carolina.
I then asked Kane how he feels about the Twitter attacks he's suffered as a result from this article and earlier ones.
I mean, just about all the ones that I see who do these tweets are UNC fans, and they are looking at a program that's in trouble, and I don't think they want it to be in trouble, and so one of the things that you do in that situation is you try to go after the messenger, and you slam whoever is writing or saying something that, doesn't support the program. But it's not my job to support the program. It's not my job to just try to take it down. It's my job to find out if there's something wrong going on and expose it so that the public can make a good decision about how to deal with it. That's my job.
I asked Kane what he thinks UNC should do to fix the problems, but he said he's a fact guy, not an opinion guy, so he doesn't believe offering possible solutions is his responsibility.
Let's connect the current news with the past. In 2012, former academic advisor Mary Willingham came out with her findings about the reading levels of some UNC athletes. After a long year, Willingham sued the university to get her position back, saying she was demoted in response to her whistleblowing. Our Susanna Black is live in our satellite studio with Mary Willingham. Susanna?
That's right, Lewis. We have Mary Willingham here. Mary, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So your lawsuit is over and a settlement has been reached between you and the university. Are you content with what's been agreed upon?
Yeah, I mean, it was a sad day for me because I was told that in my job, getting my job back was not going to happen. So, you know, all things considered, I'm fine for now. Maybe someday. Never say never. Thank you for having me here today. I love to be on campus, and you know, I have a lot of work to do. I'm working on, you know, this reform, NCAA reform nationally now, and I have, you know, people all over the country who I'm talking to on an everyday basis, writing some white papers for the Congress right now with some other folks. So lots of work to be done, and that's going to take some time. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to keep moving forward with all of that.
Okay. Now, you were talking about reform. I know at one point you were going to meet with the NCAA, but then the lawsuit happened. Have you had a chance to meet with them now that it's over?
Right, so that's always been fascinating to me because, you know, I spoke to General Counsel here in 2010 and to Governor Martin in 2012 and then went public. I never heard from the NCAA until July of 2014, which was at the exact same time that I filed a lawsuit. So I'm not sure if that was a convenient move on their part or what, but I did finally meet with them on February 20th. I was not able to talk to them because the lawsuit had not been resolved. My concern with the NCAA is this, that the NCAA and its member institutions, so the universities, including UNC, are working together. They're colluding in this cartel organization, and so I just don't feel protected. Whistleblowers are not protected. Athletes are not protected. Just the money is protected and the brand. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that whole mess. I have to really decide now if I'm going to go back and meet with them or not.
Okay, well, your book with Jay Smith was just released last week, Cheated. It's received great reviews so far. What should people expect from the book?
Well, I mean, there's a few new surprises I think that people will find out in the book. It's really loaded with information about how students did not receive a real education here at Carolina, but Chapter 9 also includes stories from across the country where this same problem is happening. One thing I think that's going to be a little bit of a mind-blowing Chapter 1, where we talk about the original sin, the paper class system, when it started, and Ken Weinstein did not go back as far as he should have. It started in 1988, in the fall of 1988, and it started with men's basketball and the men's basketball program. And we believe that's why it started, and we have really good evidence in Chapter 1 to support that.
Okay. What's next for you? What's next from here?
Well, we're really excited about the book. It's getting some, good press, and we've got a lot of events coming up to talk about the book and to get the book in the hands of students across the country, hopefully, and other people. And we have a movie deal pending. So for the book to be turned into a movie is just really exciting because that's more people that are going to hear about it, that are going to see it and understand what the real problems are with college sports so that we can fix this for once and for all.
Wow, that's exciting. Mary Willingham, thank you so much for being with us. Back to you, Lewis.
Thanks for having me.
Susanna Black live in our satellite studio with Mary Willingham. Thanks, Susanna. Now, we reached out to the university regarding the lawsuit. Associate Vice Chancellor Rick White said that the settlement resolves all the outstanding legal issues in the case. We appreciate the efforts of the mediator to help us achieve a successful and timely conclusion to the mediation. We believe the settlement is in the best interest of the university and allows us to move forward and fully focus on other important issues. The settlement is pending final action to dismiss the case by Judge Boyle. Now, this morning, Duke's student newspaper, The Chronicle, reported that former Duke basketball player Rasheed Suleiman committed sexual assault, and the coaching staff knew about it. Suleiman was alleged to have committed sexual assault by two separate women during the 2013-2014 academic year. The Chronicle states that the coaching staff was informed during March of 2014, but Suleiman continued to play until January of that year.
Men's basketball traveled to Coral Gables on Saturday with a chip on its shoulder following a deflating loss to NC State last Tuesday. But the team got off to a quick start, taking a 12-4 lead on this Tokido jam in this. Wow. Whew. In the second half, it became the Bryce Johnson show. He finished with 22 points on 11 of 15 shooting, including 5 dunks like that right there. Get him a Dunkin' Donuts sponsorship now. Joel Berry put UNC up with a go-ahead 3, and late in the game, Marcus Page hit the dagger on a circus fall-away shot. There it is. Carolina held on to win 73-64, improving to 20-9 on the season. And there are 2 more games left in the regular season for Carolina basketball, at Georgia Tech and then home against Duke. Our Brett Thompson gets us hyped for the Battle of the Blues.
Jackson 2-0 with Tokido, and Carolina has the lead for the first time. Jones tied at 81. There it is. A great look. Rebound to Duke. It's all over. Blue Devils win in overtime, 92-90.
Students find out today if they won the lottery and got tickets. Not gonna lie, as a senior, I'm pretty nervous, so fingers crossed.
It was an emotional roller coaster for the women's basketball team this weekend. There were awesome highs and some really terrible lows. Let's start with senior night at Carmichael Thursday against UVA. It was a rough start for UNC. Carolina missed 11 of its first 14 shots and turned the ball over multiple times, trailing 18-6 early. But the Heels fought back with a 13-0 run, taking the lead on this Alicia Gray bucket. Things got intense in the second half. Virginia scored 9 unanswered points to tie the game at 70. And in the final seconds, let's listen to play-by-play announcer Walter Storholt.
Passes to Gray. Gray drives down the left side of the lane, puts it up off the glass, no good. Mavoga with the putback, right at the buzzer, gets the score and the win.
Talk about clutch. UNC wins 72-70. Now, as great as things were, as that ending was, the magic wouldn't last. Carolina gave up an 11-point halftime lead yesterday at Cameron against Duke and lost 81-80.
Spring football practice is officially underway. The Heels hit the field for the first time since their humiliating loss in the Quick Lane Bowl. New defensive coordinator Gene Chizik is switching the team into a 4-3 based defense. Quarterback Marquise Williams is out for the rest of spring practice, but Mitch Trubisky will be running the show while Queese rests his injured hip. Also, breaking news, Carolina football has hired a new defensive backs coach, Charlton Warren from Nebraska. We'll have more on our sister show, Carolina Week, on Wednesday.
Mother Nature has not been kind to the Diamond Heels. 8 straight home games moved or canceled. The number 11 Diamond Heels took 2 out of 3 in the weekend series against the Rams, sweeping a Friday doubleheader and dropping the Saturday contest. The teams played in Florence, South Carolina because of all that snow in Chapel Hill. Revenge is a dish best served cold, and it was pretty cold this weekend for men's lacrosse.
The lacrosse team took on rival and number 1 Denver. Could the Heels put the Pioneers on ice? Next on Sports Extra. The 2015 ACC Swimming and Diving Championships were held this weekend in Atlanta, and UNC's men's team brought home 4th. Not only did all of Carolina's men's relay teams qualify for the national championships next month, they also set 4 new school records. The Tar Heels topped the times of the 200 and 400 medley relays and the 200 and 400 free relays. Relay events went so well that the team even tied a previous school record for the 800 free. In individual events, many swimmers and divers are in great shape for bids as well, as more qualifying events will take place this weekend and into next week.
Junior sprinter Sam Lewis joins us now. Sam, thanks for being here. You were the top performer for the team during ACCs, and you had a solid finish. What is your thought process, first off with you and your finishing, and then the team's?
For me personally, I had a best time in all 3 of my races, so I was pretty satisfied with it. And I'm in pretty good shape heading into NCAAs as far as qualification. I should be able to get in and make the cut, which we'll find out in the next week and a half or so. So personally, I'm overall happy with my meet. There's definitely some things that could have gone better, but I'll be ready to go for NCAAs.
Awesome. Now, as a junior, you're a little more of a leader on the team. You're a little bit older. What do you have to personally do to help get your team go ready for the NCAAs and see if you guys can make a bit bigger of a splash, pardon the pun, than what you guys did at ACCs?
Well, the difference between ACCs and NCAAs is that you're allowed to bring 18 people to ACCs regardless of qualification times and stuff like that. With NCAAs, you have to qualify individually, and then you can bring 4 additional swimmers who didn't qualify. So we generally have a smaller team at NCAAs, and also just there's obviously more teams there competing at the meet. So it's important that we maintain a presence on the deck and really try to get loud for each other's races and just really support each other throughout the meet. And leading up to the meet, having less people in practice and stuff is a good practice for that.
Awesome. Well, we wish you here at Sports Extra the best of luck. Sam Lewis, thank you so much for being here. Now, both the men's and women's track teams.
Thank you, Lewis. They finished 4th in the ACC championships in Blacksburg, Virginia this weekend. Lizzie Whelan set a school record in the women's 800 meter with a time of 2:03.85, and the men's 4x400 meter relay took silver with a time of 3:10.18. And in the field events, AJ Hicks finished the highest for the heels, placing 10th in the shot put.
The men's lacrosse team took on #1 Denver on Friday, surging past the Pioneers with a huge win, the first victory against Denver since 2009. The Heels struggled to score in the first half, but outshot the Pioneers 57-35 overall. And shots weren't the only thing the crowd saw. The Heels played tough, keeping the Pioneers on their toes or on the ground with a big hit. Look at them, watch out. Senior Chad Tutton led the team in goals with a hat trick with shots like these. The Heels took the win with a final score of 12-10. Now, following a heartbreaking loss to top-ranked Maryland last week in the snow, #2 UNC women's lacrosse team returned to action this weekend, taking on the 6th-ranked Northwestern Wildcats. UNC midfielder Maggie Bill had a day to remember, racking up 3 goals and breaking defenders' ankles with ridiculous moves like that one. It was Sammy Jo Tracy, though, who stole the show for the Heels, though. The junior attacker was a human highlight reel, picking up a hat trick of her own on sweet goals like this over-the-shoulder gem, and dishing out one beautiful assist. That's one delicious dime. Those Wildcats needed to get their head in the games. The Heels won 12-11.
Jeg hedder Esben Hesse Olsen, og jeg er en Tar Heel.
Jeg heter Øystein Steiro, og jeg er en Tar Heel.
How many different ways can you say I'm a Tar Heel?
For the men's tennis team, they've got a few. Next on Sports Extra. Up on its indoor national championship, the women's tennis team continues to blast opponents during the outdoor season. On Friday, the Heels took down the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 5-2, and on Sunday, drubbed the Virginia Tech Hokies 7-0. Top-ranked UNC is 13-0 on the season. And it was cold outside, but inside Cone Kenfield Tennis Center, it was anything but freezing because those Heels were on fire. The 19th ranked Tar Heel men played a doubleheader against the Minnesota Gophers and the Citadel Bulldogs. The Heels played whack-a-mole with the Gophers, beating them 4-1. Next up were the Bulldogs, but the Heels were done playing games, putting the Dogs on a leash and winning 7-0, giving the Heels an undefeated weekend.
UNC is known for attracting some of the greatest minds and athletes, not only in the nation, but around the world. 2 of them happen to be on the men's tennis team. Lucero Cifuentes has more.
Esben Hessolesen and Øystein Steido aren't from around here. Hessolesen comes from Aarhus, Denmark, and Steido from Oslo, Norway. The two seniors had the possibility of playing tennis professionally in their respective countries, but also wanted to be challenged academically. UNC tennis assistant coach Trip Phillips gave them an option they couldn't resist: becoming Tar Heels.
We're not looking for Americans, international kids, whatever. We're looking for kids that are serious about being good at tennis and serious about getting a great education.
Hessolesen and Steido, both economics majors, are just as motivated academically as they are athletically.
Just coming here, seeing the support you get for being a student athlete, all the resources you have around you, all the time and money they put into you, and they show that they really care about you to perform the best you can, both in the athletics and in school.
The Scandinavian duo came to Carolina together as freshmen, became roommates, and later became the unstoppable doubles duo known by their team as the Scandos.
You do just feel more comfortable with someone you share the same culture with, and although Denmark is a lot better than Norway, it's still kind of the same culture we come from.
4 years later, the Scandos are consistent leaders for the team, but they've also learned their fair share from their teammates and coaches, even picking up a southern accent along the way.
Y'all want to step up on the baseline, play some tennis?
Go to Waffle House, get some pancakes.
Whether these boys stay in the U.S. to pursue a career or return to Europe, they will always have Carolina in their mind. In Chapel Hill, I'm Lucero Cifuentes, reporting.
The doubles duo has taken its skills back to Scandinavia on summer breaks, where the Scandos have won multiple tournaments. And now, let's go live to Tate Frazier at Anderson Stadium for an update about today's doubleheader in softball against Virginia Tech. Tate?
Thanks, Lewis, and we are here, and yes, it is softball season, ACC softball season to be exact, and the Hills are taking on the Virginia Tech Hokies today in a doubleheader, and the first game actually just wrapped up with a 5-score 5th inning for the Tar Heels to get a big win for them to jump off the start of ACC season. And now the Hills have had a rough stretch over this past few start of the season, actually. They started out in Tempe, Arizona. Then they went down to Georgia. Then they went to South Carolina. And now they're finally back in Chapel Hill in their home stadium playing in front of their home fans. And it's been a great environment out here. And actually, this is the first time they played in Chapel Hill since February 11th. We've had a lot of delays, a lot of ice, a lot of sleet, and a lot of things going on here. But let me just tell you, we have another game coming up, and it's going to be a good one to watch. And if you can't make it here tonight, Thursday night, 7 o'clock, they play the Texas Longhorns in the Carolina Classic. Throwing it back to you, Lewis, and once again, come out and enjoy some good softball.
Thanks, Tate. Sounds like they just needed a little bit of home cooking. That was Tate Frazier live at softball. Thanks, Tate. Now, is there anyone you'd like to do this to?
The Aikido Club can show you how to protect yourself and how to lead a healthy lifestyle.
What do you know about Aikido? No, not IKEA, the Swedish furniture store, but Aikido, the martial art. Paul Beam introduces us to UNC's Aikido Club.
Aikido, a Japanese martial art, meant to be purely defensive. It teaches virtually no punches or kicks. Rather, it uses a variety of handholds and defensive maneuvers to use an attacker's momentum against him.
So, Aikido is a lot of things, but I would think that principally the best way to describe it would be laziness. And I don't mean that in any mean or derogatory sense, obviously. It just means that Aikido is usually the most efficient and most effective way of dealing with a situation.
Most martial art forms take a physical toll on those who participate in them. According to John Kasachawa, this is not the case with Aikido.
Aikido, it's kind of nice in the sense that it's not as abusive to your body as, like, say, boxing might be or something. I mean, I practice boxing too, but I like Aikido because it's a little bit gentler.
Okay. Even though it's gentle, it still has an impact. Aikido has a number of defenses for a variety of different attacks. It also separates itself from other martial arts in that Aikido isn't just a fighting style, it's a lifestyle as well.
You can defend yourself from open hand attacks, from tackles, from people who know multiple martial arts that are far better than you. Aside from just learning to defend myself, which I could do with any martial art, this is something that's designed to be a lifelong pursuit. You learn how to keep your body healthy, and the techniques don't wreck you. So I could do this into my 80s if I keep the passion going.
Imagine doing that when you're 80. Hello, Ben Gay. In Chapel Hill, I'm Paul Bean, reporting.
Aikido is one of UNC's 5 sports clubs devoted to martial arts.
Now, some people might accuse us of finding any excuse to replay the game-winning punt return by Gio Bernard against NC State in 2012.
Well, they'd be right. They'd be right.
Bernard fields it at the 26, heading to the far side. Gio at the 35. Gio, he's at the 50. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Gio, he's gonna take it for a touchdown. Are you kidding me?
Lewis, you claim to be pretty athletic. Do you think you could have caught up to those llamas?
No way. No, those llamas are something else. They are really something special. I think Coach Fedora needs to go ahead and call them up, see if he can, bust them out of jail and go talk to them. So that does it for this edition of Sports Extra.
Thanks for watching. Good night.